On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Q's been warning us about the potential problems that were going to happen in D.C. And as of Sunday afternoon, recording of this, things are looking like it went pretty well. Though I will say it seemed like we had a lot of things stacked against us from the standpoint of the Patriots and having the National Guard pushed out. We'll get into some of these stories. But the way it actually played out was very peaceful. It was very awesome. And it looks like everybody's behaving. So one of the cool things that he kind of even starts off with on the very first poster, 4427, but having faith in humanity. And I'll be honest, I was nervous going into this weekend. You guys maybe saw my last show, maybe you didn't, but I was super nervous going into this weekend. And I gave warnings, and it's one of those things where you hope you're wrong. And it looks like maybe I was, or it looks like maybe because we were prepared, or maybe it looks like they knew enough in advance to be able to thwart this. Kind of curious how it's going to play out. So, seeing is believing, obviously. Faith in humanity. This is very cool, which maybe suggests that there might be a lot more of us that aren't as angry and ready to burn down the entire world than maybe the mainstream media tries to make it sound, right? Maybe there's a lot more of us that are a little more rational, willing to have a discussion, willing to sit down at a table and let's talk about what's good, what's bad, what's working, what's not. Versus people that said, you don't believe what I believe, you're wrong. You don't believe what I believe, I'm going to take you down. You don't believe what I believe, I'm going to attack you. I'm going to make up names. I'm going to call things, whatever. So it's very strange, kind of where we're at. There is definitely a thinning that seems to be going on. Now, he shares a couple posts embedded within this guy. We've got 1585 in here, which obviously is going back to June 21st, 2018. Now, it's highlighted, so I don't know. Maybe we're saying June 21st coming up. What's that? That's going to be 2 Sundays from now? Today's the 7th? Maybe. So maybe 2 weekends from now, something else is planned. Possible. Maybe they're going to try to revisit this again. I don't know how you get steam on something that's losing its momentum or kind of, I hate to say it this way, but served its purpose from the standpoint of the deep state. So I don't know how they reinvigorate this. We'll see. They have a lot of assets that are out there, aren't they? So again, be careful. Now, proofs are going to be important very soon. New eyes, be ready, 5x5. Thank you for your service. Not really sure if any of that's relevant. The date's highlighted, so he's kind of trying to call that out. Also, obviously doing a search in here for the word riots, because that's how it shows up when you search that way. And we stand, we fight together. Organized riots being planned. So again, I think we're just trying to bring people's attention to it. Being aware helps us be safer. So again, it looks like humanity kind of handled this one in the good way. So very cool. Post 4428. Attempt another to remove White House protection. Ask yourself why. Enemy of the people. Another attempt to remove White House protection. So what we're talking about here, this is from, of course, Mayor Muriel Bowser, once again, the mayor of D.C., which oddly, D.C.'s like its own state, its own country, its own county, its own, Washington, D.C. is a very weird thing. I will not even pretend I fully understand the complexity of Washington, D.C., but it's almost like a little weird artificial city in the middle of the United States, and it happens to be where the Capitol sits, and a lot of people speculate, and I'm just saying it's a weird city. So this lady's requesting that the New Jersey governor removes all the National Guard people from the city. They were brought to the district without my knowledge. I appreciate your service, blah, 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 blah. But all my 705,000 tax-paying residents don't want to have this in there. So on June 5th, prior to the weekend, she says, hey, get all these people out of my state. I don't want any of these National Guard people. So that's a little sketchy, right? Again, we're going to see another article coming up here shortly where they even said that they had to be careful how they dressed, which I'll be honest. I mean, I'll give it one side. One positive spin on this is when you don't have full riot gear and you're standing there as a presence to sort of keep people from doing anything mischievous, right? You're there. You're obviously there. You're wearing, military fatigues, right? But if you're not wearing full riot gear, it's not as intimidating and it doesn't quite create that same defensive mechanism, that same, put your dukes up versus, oh no, they're just here to party with us and protest with us. That's great. So again, it's kind of funny how it plays out. Now this is an interesting little post. 4429.1, there's a really cool prayer. And I want to say this, I'm going to be honest, my family just found out about my channel recently, and my little sister just found out about it, apparently very recently, because she just texted me and told me how crazy she thinks I am. So again, my family, who's supposed to love me regardless of the opinions I hold, apparently even blood's not thick enough for that to hold. So all of us kind of at this time in our lives maybe need a little bit more prayer, a little bit more strength. The armor of God certainly can help many of us. So let's just quickly, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with the feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. 17, take the helmet of salvation and the sword of Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit of all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in God. The Great Awakening. Now, what he's referencing here is a letter from a very cool gentleman, I guess, Carlo Maria Vigano? Vigano? I don't know, I guess that's how you say it. It's the accents on the O. Neat little part. One thing that he kind of points out here, one, it's just he's the diplomat apparently from the Pope to the United States and wrote a really, really nice letter to the president about how we're kind of witnessing the formation of two opposing sides. And they're calling it biblical, the children of light and the children of darkness. And he talks about this struggle that's occurring. And he talks about how in society this divergence seems to be happening. And he also points out, this one paragraph here I thought was really good. The American people are mature and have now understood how much the mainstream media does not want to spread the truth, but seeks to silence and distort it, spreading the lie that is useful for the purpose of their masters. However, it is important that the good, who are the majority, wake up from their sluggishness and do not accept being deceived by a minority of dishonest people with unvowable purposes. It is necessary that the good, the children of light, come together and make their voices heard. What more effective way is there to do this, Mr. President, than by prayer, asking the Lord to protect you, the United States, and all of humanity from this enormous attack of the enemy? Before the power of prayer, the deceptions of children of darkness will collapse. Their plots will be revealed. Their betrayal will be shown. Their frightening power will end in nothing, brought to light and exposed for what it is, an infernal deception. And folks, that is what we're experiencing these days, is a deception. And people are waking up to it. More people than you realize. And you may not hear from them as much because sometimes when you do voice your opinion, you get pounced on. So a lot of times people are kind of keeping it a little quiet. They're not just jumping out there. So remember, it's not necessarily who you're hearing that says the loudest or what's going on. Sometimes it's the way things are playing out. And again, I think the success in D.C. is a good suggestion that maybe we're winning this war. And we frequently have talked about that. Post 4430, good old Catherine Herridge is coming to the rescue. Now, again, the big thing with, are you paying attention to the pins? This is intentional. I'm sure of it, but now I'm even more confused. Looks like it says about 5:20. What the frick? Like, it was almost 11 o'clock recently. Now it's 5:20. Okay, does the clock just go round and round, or is this next year? So anyway, who knows? But, not to get lost in the whole point, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's very interesting who this applies to, which is what she's pointing out here. So, person subject to this chapter. Members of a regular component of the armed forces, so they'd be a part of this, cadets, aviation cadets, and midshipmen, members of a reserve component, members of the Army National Guard, retired members of a regular component of the armed forces who are entitled to pay, members of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, Public Health Service, Prisoners of war in custody of the armed forces. Okay. And any commissioned officer who uses contemptuous words against the president, the vice president, Congress, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of Military Department, blah, 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 or is in possession in which the duty punishable as a court martial may direct. What this is pointing out is that if you are in the armed forces and basically go against or speak against or use contemptuous words against your commander-in-chief or the vice president or members of Congress, any number of people, you can and will be court-martialed. This is one of the things they don't allow dissent in. So it's very interesting how she was kind enough to point this out to us at 5:20, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Post 4431, do you see what's happening? Do you? Right here. Text your relatives and loved ones. This is some little post they did in the New York Times, right? Telling people that, so please stop sending #love, stop sending positive vibes, stop sending your thoughts. Here are 3 suggestions on more immediately impactful things to offer instead. Money. Funds to pay for legal fees for people who are unjustly arrested, imprisoned, or killed, or politicians are running for office to make a difference. Text to your relatives and loved ones telling them you're not going to visit them or answer phone calls until they take significant action. Again, it's this whole thing of punish them because they have a different opinion, and I'm the righteous one, so I can tell those who aren't falling in line what they must do. But a lot of us who aren't falling in line, who are getting pointed at by our relatives and family members, we're standing our ground. We're standing up to this craziness, and they don't know how to deal with it. It freaks them out, frankly. They can't understand how you wouldn't want to be a part of the herd. So again, they're pointing out the fact they want you to text people and tell people what you're supposed to do or give money. And this guy's saying, this is nuts. Our media is far left-wing activist group that wants a race war and cultural revolution. That's where we are today. And it really does seem like that, right? Like either you're on board with supporting all of this movement, and if you have any sort of part of the movement that you question or maybe think could happen a little differently, maybe more peacefully, whatever, you're instantly labeled an opposite of it, and they start throwing every ism they can under the sun at you. Post 4432. Do you see what's happening? I've got a Breitbart article here. Defense Secretary Mark Esper, and again, he's someone that's maybe kind of speaking poorly about the president. I kind of think that's what our original post was about. This guy's in hot water, probably not going to be around much longer. Expect to hear him putting in his resignation anytime now, soon, I would assume, and he might even be brought up on charges, who knows. But that being said, he told all the National Guard in D.C. to go soft caps, no weapons, all that good stuff. Again, less intimidating. So I see a positive to this. I'm not going to totally just say this was a horrible idea. I won't. I'm not going to. I understand that Trump really wanted to talk about using the Insurrection Act, and I think if things get bad enough, that'll happen. But like it played out, and fortunately humanity really was impressive, likely letting it play out in less violent a fashion has actually worked out for us because D.C. was good. D.C. was calm. It was chill. So they're going soft caps. They're not going hardcore. So that's basically what they're pointing out. Now, if the stuff hits the fan, then yeah, this is going to get heavy duty. But another thing too, and I got a very good friend. His dad was tied up in a lot of this dark ops and stuff back in the day. Way long time ago. But that being said, the White House and that whole perimeter there, they've got stuff, they've got technology that you can't imagine. So again, it's one of those things where even if someone hopped the fence, they could probably take on a small army. I mean, a bunch of unarmed people is not going to be nearly as big a problem as an armed militia, and they could probably withstand that. So again, it's pretty crazy. Castle Rock keeps coming up. It's come up a few times anyways, and there's a lot of speculation around Castle Rock. I've heard people say it's the White House. I've heard people say that it's the Castle Rock County, or Castle Rock is the area between the Denver Municipal Rock, right? Maybe that's where that Mount Sac entrance probably is in the Denver International Airport. Who knows? Some also suggest that it could be a military operation of some kind. So again, not sure what Castle Rock is, but obviously Castle Rock, Godspeed. Wishing Godspeed or God fortune, good speed, God fortune, whatever, to this path operation, whatever it happens to be. Operation seems to make more sense, especially based off of what we're looking at here. Post 4434, Twitter, got this post here. This is kind of a really cool post. This gentleman shares with us why he proudly hangs the American flag. I think this is super cool.
I'm going to tell you why I fly the American flag. During the Civil War, there was two types of flags that was flying. You had the American flag that represented the Northern Republican Party. You had the Southern flag, which was a Confederate flag that represented the Democratic Party. What's the difference between both? One for freedom and one not to stop slavery. Black Americans, I want you to educate yourself. The American flag is our symbol of freedom. Without that flag, we would have lost the war. The Democrats want you to hate something that gave you freedom. Don't fall for it. Thank you.
And again, when you look at how the voting occurred for the 13th Amendment, you will actually find that I believe it was 54 votes or 56 votes against voting for it, and it almost didn't get ratified. It almost did not get the 2/3 votes required to be ratified to give black people the right to vote. The 56 votes against were all Democrats. 100% of them were Democrats. They want to take your flag away, literally. Let's do some research. Let's look at the people that are claiming to be the righteous right now, claiming to be the uniters, when in reality they're actually the dividers. It's very interesting how this plays out. Post 4435, D-Day. And by the way, yesterday was D-Day. Happy D-Day, everybody. And we will have our country back. I think Q Plus is trying to tell us, hey, look, I know this looks a little scary right now, and this is the day of D-Day invasion, when we stormed the beaches of Normandy, June 6th. Fortunately, things played out pretty well, but there was a lot of people concerned that symbolically they were going to try to do that at the White House. So again, I think Trump's also telling us, Q Plus is Trump, he's also telling us, hey guys, we're going to have our country back. So we're going to celebrate the invasion of Normandy with this reminder that this time next year, basically, would be my guess, that the country will be ours again. 4436, this is really interesting. So reconcile is a big thing that we're going to need to do. Now, just to remind people, let's see if I can find it up here. Where was it? Did I pull it? Oh, it's already over here. Cool. George Floyd passed away, God bless his soul, on May 25th of this year, 2020. As you will see, Obama had this little post with this picture. This is America. But this was posted May 17th. That's not the 25th. In fact, I don't know. I'm just going to do some quick math in my head here, but I think that's roughly 8 days in the future before he died. So either A, they already had the picture of him, or B, they already knew, or, But again, very interesting how this plays out. Now, this is Obama.org, and this is this whole thing about how great and wonderful Obama is. Apparently, when he poos, his poo doesn't smell. It smells like roses, I guess. I don't know. He's a wonderful man, I guess, if you look at his Obama.org. Post 4437. Q, you really need to walk this last one back. So someone kind of got a little weird, got a little mad at him. I don't know. I went and tried to follow that post, and they were just talking about, oh, he posted back, he got you. It's like, I don't really know how he did, but whatever. So Q posts this whole thing, and it's basically some JavaScript in here, input, oh crap, whoops. Anyway, yeah, and it takes you to this whole login to Twitter thing, this validator. So I think he's trying to give some code. I don't know why I can't click off this. There we go. It gives some code in here. Like I said, it's JS, input.js username field, and set all these different things. So he's got some code here. I'm not sure what exactly it does. It apparently ties into this validator. I don't know. It's some response to this guy, and then Q follows up with a, hey, not all posts are meant for anons. Okay. So anyway, this sounds like a little bit of either a war or him offering some advice to the right people. I don't know. I'm sure it means something to somebody, I'm sure. Post 4439. This is actually pretty cool. 4-minute interview is, or 5 minutes basically, is actually pretty good. I got it chopped on his last little question to Devin Nunes, and he's talking about Rod Rosenstein, some of the very interesting information that was uncovered. It seems like Rosenstein was brought into the situation a little late, probably didn't know a whole lot of information, and basically chucks McCabe under the bus. So I just saw with Graham, Senator Graham is going to be bringing in McCabe. He said, sure as the sun rises, he's going to be bringing him in. So I guess that's going to be one of the next things that's going to happen. So again, we've got these people that are kind of contradicting each other, which is interesting. So not sure where the truth is actually going to lie, but I think they're trying to get to the bottom of it. But anyway, let's take a gander at what this little part here says. It's pretty cool.
We got to look at what really was his testimony.
It seemed like he was in the testimony, perhaps laying a lot of. Implicitly, I think, laying a lot of the blame at the feet of Andrew McCabe, saying that he was misled, or at least implying that, saying that Mr. McCabe was not forthcoming. Do you think that's an accurate description, perhaps, of Mr. McCabe and his conduct, based on what you know?
The one thing that I will say in Mr. Rosenstein's favor is that he came to the coup late. Well, we don't have any evidence that Rosenstein was involved in the plot to really take out a president in 16 or early 17. But sometime between when he appoints Mueller and writing the scope memo in August of 17, so May 17 to August of 17, Rosenstein effectively knows they're running an obstruction of justice trap on the president of the United States for an underlying crime that they have no evidence of. And that's what really doesn't make sense. Rosenstein appointed Mueller. He claims in the Senate testimony that he had a team. They were getting updates. We really need to know who was on Rosenstein's team and what updates were they giving him, because his story doesn't jive with reality.
Now, one of the other things that's really important to point out, too, is they talk about this. He does earlier in this interview is Rod Rosenstein's been in the intelligence industry or area for a long time, and he's been a lawyer for a long time, too. So he, oddly, is very slippery and smart about how he handles these answers. So, again, not easy to pin him down. This guy, Nunes, was basically saying, I got to go through and read all those transcripts to really, truly try to understand what the heck happened, because it's... Again, it's just, I watched some of it, and Rosenstein's, he's actually fun to watch. He's entertaining to watch. He gets these smirks on his face from time to time. He's a smart dude. He is. And hopefully, maybe, and there was some discussion, I think, early Q posts, that maybe he wasn't the worst of the worst by any means, and kind of maybe came in late, wasn't necessarily there trying to set all this stuff up. He wasn't one of the ones that was trying to bust the president, trying to capture the president. Kind of more just someone that was brought in that didn't really know what was going on, was supposed to just kind of continue to follow the lead. So some people suggest that maybe he might not be as dirty as some of the others, but he was there. His testimony matters, and I think what it's going to do is bring McCabe in, and now McCabe is going to be on record, and we're going to see what he actually says. So that's going to be coming up very, very soon. So again, a lot of excitement's going on. We made it through the weekend, right? We're behaving. We're trying to get along with one another. Things are changing. Things are changing. We're making a difference. And again, this is going to continue to build. All assets are out there. They are not done fighting by any means. They are not done. They have to get control back at all costs, because if not, and Trump gets elected again, they're done. They're done, and they know they're done. There's nowhere to hide. There's no place to hide. And once re-election is done, I think Trump can pull so many stops out that he's like, I don't even have to care about whether or not I get reelected. Now it's time to roll up my sleeves and actually start whooping some backside. We're going to see how this plays out. Let's give it some time. Let's have some faith. Let's certainly put on our armor of God right now and make sure we keep ourselves safe. I hope you guys are being good to one another. I hope you're not treating others like my family's treating me. I'd like to see you guys be good to each other. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell notification to be notified whenever I do new videos. If you like this video, please click the thumbs up. It actually does help a lot. And sharing is one of the most amazing ways you can help my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love you guys. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.